Today I got a 2020 Polaris Ranger. This is the 500 model. So I'll give you kind of a quick overview of the whole machine, and then we'll do a couple tests that I do on all the other machines. I'm gonna go on a little track, gonna go downhill in low. If I go in high, it doesn't really affect it too much. I'm gonna go down low, see what the holdback is like, and then I'll go down low, pushing on the throttle just a little bit to see if it holds it back more. We'll do some handling and maneuvering in the trees, and then we'll do a quick little hill climb. I'll put it in two-wheel drive, dig down a couple of inches so that I know that I'm stuck, so that the back two wheels are spinning, and then I'll put it in four-wheel drive and see what it takes to climb out of that, and then also climb up the rest of the hill. It's not a real steep hill, but it's a gravel hill nonetheless, and it's probably about a 5–10% incline. So let me go over the bike real fast. All right, so on this Polaris, I bought it used. So I'm not sure exactly what all came stock and what didn't come stock. I know the front windshield and the rear windshield were both aftermarket. The top is aftermarket. I believe the doors come with it. So going over this real fast. So we'll start on the inside. You come over here, unclip this, and then when you climb in, you've got your odometer, you've got your turf mode down here, your two-wheel drive, and then your four-wheel drive. Just kind of depends on what you want to drive it in. I've done a bunch of research. I'm not really sure which one is the best one to do. I just keep it in two-wheel drive all the time. That way I get even wear on both tires. And then you've got your shifter, you got an outlet, you got some storage here, cup holder, storage over here for my winch cable's at, my winch control is at. And then if you want to, you can take and you just lift up the seat, and then there's nothing under there. You can buy storage, which I'm gonna do. That goes right here, right there, and over on the other side. Other than that, it doesn't have any big time storage. It does have a lock on it that if you aren't plugged in, I think it's like 10 or 15 miles an hour is all faster you can go. I just leave my plugged in. There is an aftermarket little piece you can buy on Amazon. It takes and it clips into right here. This is where the sensor's at. It clips in there, makes it think you're buckled in. That way you don't have to have your seatbelt looking all weird. So when you come in here, you start it, you just turn it like a normal key. And then if you want your light, if you want your light on, it's right here. You take and you just go right there, and then that's your light, and then off. I put aftermarket lights on it, so right here, they're up on the top here. So then you've got your shifter, you go reverse. If it blinks in reverse, from what I've read, let you know that you're in reverse. It doesn't say there's anything wrong with it. Then you've got neutral, low, and then high. Then you've got your display change. So right now mine's on odometer. You can go trip, you can go RPMs, you can go temperature, and then you can go your battery output. And then these are some of your maintenance things. So I've got 49 hours left to do maintenance on my machine. I just barely did it. So let's turn it off real fast. The battery, I think, is in a terrible location. It's up under here. I don't know why they put it down so low. I guess that's what they wanted to do. You got your belt right there, and then you got your little latch right there to undo it. You come under here, your spark plug is located right here, and your air filter is located right here. So this sits pretty high if you're going into deep water. Your clutch exhaust also comes up there. I think it's ported into here is where it's at. So you can go up to probably about your seat before you have to worry about any high water. You've got your latches if you want to be able to undo the bed. So if you fill up your bed with rocks or something like that, and then you can undo it. It's got little pinholes right here, so you can take and put cotter pins in there. I'm presuming that it's because they pop open, but haven't taken them out on any real tests yet. These are aftermarket pieces. You can buy them to put down in the holes in order to winch stuff down or tie down things down. Your gas tank's over here, and then to get to the under the hood compartment, come over here on both sides, and then here's where you can get to your fan, your coolant, headlights. This is where my winch module's at. It's pretty basic under there, not a whole lot going on. They moved the engine more to the back. I've been in other side-by-sides or some of the older models, and it seems like the engine was more under the seat, which made it a lot louder. This one's under the box. I personally think that makes it significantly quieter, but it might just be a bias. And then you got your double suspension. Oh, looks like I left a light back there, but it didn't fall off. Got your independent rear suspension on both sides, and then your transmission is right there. So let's take it for a quick ride, real fast. This model that I'm driving does not have power steering. I think power steering would make a really big difference if you're in tight spots or in muddy. You can buy aftermarket parts for it. It's got a pretty smooth ride. I don't know if it's as smooth as a four-wheeler or obviously one of the Razors, but it's also built for more for utility versus pure fun. So we're gonna go up on a hill real fast, and then we're gonna go down this little incline without me holding. I'm not gonna push on the brakes, and we'll see what kind of hold back it has. I'm in low gear. Like I said, high gear. If I go in high, it just seems like it wants to let go no matter what machine I'm on, as long as it's belt drive. So it's holding back a little bit, and then about 7 miles an hour, I can tell that it wants to let go. That's very similar to what I've had with other four-wheelers or anything with a belt, really. Seems like somewhere between 5 and 10 miles an hour. It holds back okay, and then once you get to those speeds, all of a sudden it just kind of cuts loose. So let me go back up that hill, and then we'll try that again, but this time I'm going to push on the throttle, on the gas pedal, and we'll see what kind of hold back it has. So I'm back to the top of the hill. I'm gonna give a little bit of gas, and this time I'm just gonna keep my foot just barely pushing on the gas, just enough to keep that belt engaged with the clutches. So it holds back a little bit better. I wouldn't say it holds back tons better. I definitely felt that it was holding it back though. So let's take it for a little ride around the hill, and then we will go do our little hill climb. So I'm doing all this with one hand. Like it doesn't have power steering. I can tell maybe after a long day, or if you're not used to riding around, you might feel a difference, but for the most part I don't think it's too bad of a deal. Let me try and do some maneuvers in the trees, kind of see what it's like going through trees. So it takes up a lot of space. Not real hard to turn. Not the best for maneuverability, I don't think, inside of tight spaces. If you're in thick wooded areas, you have to be able to plan out what you're doing, where you're at, or be cognitive of where you're going. Just in case you get stuck, it's going to take a little bit. It's going to be kind of like Austin Powers trying to turn it around. So we're coming up on the little hill. You can see, like I said, that's not a big hill, but it's a hill that I like to test out the four-wheel drive on. And it's gravelly, so it kind of gives you a good indication of how good the four-wheel drive is actually working. So we'll come over here. All right. Let me get it climbing just a little bit. All right. So I'm definitely stuck right there. I'll put it into four-wheel drive. You can see it pushes little buttons. So you got, like I said, you have turf, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and we'll see what it does now. There we go. So I can feel it's spinning pretty good. It's working, but it's climbing this hill just fine. The tires are just stock on here, so they're not the best. So I'm side hilling, it's not a big side hill at all. It doesn't feel tippy at this current point. Maybe if you're on a little more of an incline, it might feel a little top heavy, but just doing this little part right here, I don't feel like I'm gonna tip over at all. So let's go downhill, keeping it in four-wheel drive. I've learned these belt drives, if you keep them in 4-wheel drive, it doesn't feel like the back end wants to come around you. If you're in 2-wheel drive, those back wheels are pushing you, and it feels like it wants to come around the side of you. So I like to keep it in 4-wheel drive, going down gravelly stuff like this. So as soon as I let up the brakes, you can hear it winding up. Push on the brakes, or push on the gas, and I can feel it holding me back. So if you're doing a lot of steep hill climbing, you're going to be riding your brakes or having pressure on the clutch the whole time. This thing does go about 40 miles an hour. We'll test it out here real fast on the way back home. Put it into high real quick. Okay on the asphalt, but it's got not asphalt tires. So if you're gonna be doing a lot of asphalt driving, I would take different tires. But as far as this goes, I would definitely look into the ride of it, or what your purpose is and what you're gonna do. Those Razors, I've driven the Razors, and they're significantly more sporty. If you have any questions, let me know.